Ladies and gentlemen, we want you to stand and we want you to make some noise.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's go racing here at Knoxville.
Only the best go 3 abreast.
It is show time at Williams Grove Speedway.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, here at Eldora Speedway, it's showtime!
You've got a for a breath. Often imitated, never duplicated. The greatest show on dirt, the World of Outlaws.
It's time to sit back, relax, and enjoy because, ladies and gentlemen, it's showtime!
Set to do battle for 30 laps. The green flag is waving.
Hello again, it's Wing Nation, talking sprint cars, our favorite time of the week. We are so glad that you have joined us. Steve Poston and Erin Evernham in studio, but when we're sitting side by side, that means we got something even bigger going on than usual. So joining us for our annual visit is the CEO of the World Racing Group, Brian Carter, is in the house. Hello, Brian, how are you?
Hey guys, I'm doing great. I'm exhausted, but obviously still riding this wave. So
Recount for our viewers and listeners your Sunday.
my Sunday.
Yes, the day we live in this world where Knoxville Sunday, where Eldora Sunday, where Super Dirt Sunday, where Prairie Dirt Classic Sunday is a weird day. You described this at the banquet. Your Sunday is far weirder than everybody else.
Well, it usually starts at the late night on Saturday. So Sunday really starts in the middle of the infield at Charlotte Motor Speedway with pyro and fire bombs and all of the hoopla about celebrating 3 champions.
Yes.
So that's part of the Sunday. Then you figure out when to go to sleep and what all of that entails, and you get up the next morning. And I told everybody at the banquet, the first stop by is my office, and all of the accounting's working. All the point fund checks, and although you have it all in the bank and it's all set and planned, you write in the checks and you sign in the checks for $2.6 million. It's like, whoo, okay, that's a good way to start a Sunday. And it's like, should have gone to church for, but it's so that you end up with that, and then I go to the speedway when all that's said and done. I know I got my events team over there setting up a beautiful banquet for us, so they're working their tail off on Sunday. And then I go to the speedway, and I'm standing there on the property packing up my camper and my motorcycle, my golf cart, and I'm thinking that not 20 hours ago we had tens of thousands of people enjoying their day and celebrating and all those pieces. And then here I'm packing it up, and the surreal piece of it's quiet. There's stacks of tires and things left over from all of the pieces, but it's just like, damn, I guess it really is over. It's like we gotta pack this up, get it ready to go, and restack them and get ready for next year. And then so you do that, and by the time you get all that done, you get your hands dirty, so you feel good about getting some stuff done, right? You can see that. And I go home and I reflect on how do I talk to 500 people about how excited I am about what we have, where we're standing, and where we're looking forward going forward. So how in the world can I communicate that to this group of people that are so important to me at the banquet? And how do I do that? So I'm spending all afternoon in this level of anxiety about how do you talk to everybody and get them to see it, and then get past the 90 seconds of the adrenaline that's flowing, talking in front of, walking back and forth and doing my pacing, and how do you do that? So Sunday is an interesting thing. It takes about an hour of that banquet to kind of really settle down and really enjoy what's happening, which is celebration and just all of the people coming together to have a good time and celebrate all of the achievements of 2025 and how excited they are looking forward into the future. So Sunday is an interesting day. It really is you really don't feel the exhaustion until sometime Monday evening when all that adrenaline is gone, and now you're going, ooh, okay, now we got to announce our late model calendar on Tuesday. I'm going to sit down and talk with you guys, and I can kind of get back to this normal crazy pace of what's happening. So Sunday is an interesting day. I've tried to figure out a way to enjoy that banquet Sunday, but it's like an anxiety roller coaster, different pieces, but then I get to celebrate with all the people that are important to me.
Fascinating. Erin, you ever have a Sunday morning where you wrote out $2.6 million in checks?
No, definitely not.
That would get your attention.
Yeah, no, what a neat way. And it's cool that you described that for us, because not only is it adrenaline we can hear, but it's also a range of emotions. Yeah. There's the reflection, there's the excitement, there's the anxiety of speaking. That's pretty wild. But I want to talk about start with the World Finals. What an amazing event. I mean, this has been over years and years of work, but to see what you have there in the fan area and the stage and having us do shows, the atmosphere this year was electric there.
No, it felt really nice to see that. You can do all that, and then Mother Nature can come like it snowed last night. I mean, it snowed in Charlotte today. Yeah. So you could have had all that stuff. But to have that electricity, 18 years now of the World Finals, it really has become what the industry needs and what we need to celebrate and to bring everybody together. This all dirt roads lead to Charlotte piece, that's an important part of what we're trying to create in this racing culture of getting everybody together. And Charlotte Motor Speedway is one of those places that can actually handle it. So there's so much energy. The midway, you walking through, you're seeing the fans from all around the world, all through the nation, and all the teams coming from everywhere, and just taking a moment to just take all that in. And I walk the midway a lot. We feed everybody in the pit area, so we have our catering coming in. So it's just a great weekend, and there's so much positivity. So it's an amazing recharge for me as we get into one of the hardest parts, which is getting everything ready for next year.
What I find so amazing about it is the World of Outlaw NOS Energy Drink Sprint Car Group, the World of Outlaw Real American Beer Late Models, the Super Dirt Car Series Bike Modifieds, figuring out why they love coming to Charlotte. But to me, it's all the invading drivers, all the Lucas late model drivers, all the high limit guys in sprint cars. Man, they live for it as much, and they're not getting the big check at the end of it. I just feel like that this event has grown. It's just amazing that even non-World Racing Group point drivers look at this thing and circle it on the calendar.
Well, it's such a great accumulation of people in our community. So it's not, when you look at it, Donny Schatz, David Gravel, these champions that are in the field, they are at the pinnacle of their series. And you talk about Bobby Pierce's, and you see Jonathan Davenport racing. They're at the pinnacle of the late model series. But when you bring those two groups, and they bring the big blocks and the Matts and the Matt show, and it's like, and then all these youngsters, oh my gosh, the Alexes is like,
oh my gosh,
it's so much fun to watch it. But then they're each at their pinnacle. But to show them that they are part of something bigger than just sprint car racing or late model racing, the community of dirt racing is what Charlotte shows off. And that's what, in my mind, is that you come to Charlotte and you're part of the dirt community, where no matter what kind of car you drive. Even, there's a tremendous amount of racers that are in the fans, with the 4-cylinders and the street stocks and all the people that we celebrate the week before at World Short Track. They're all there as fans enjoying the whole community. And that's hard to replicate. And it's taken 18 years to build.
Yeah, and you talked about hitting the jackpot with the weather, which we did. Like you mentioned, we went from 75 and sunny to snow yesterday. But on top of that, this year, at least for me as a fan, the racing, it was the surface. The surface here at Charlotte's been tricky. It's taken years it's gone up and down, but I thought it provided some great actual racing on the track this year.
No, it was really nice to see the work. Charlotte Motor Speedway and their team and our team at World Racing Group have been working really hard. Charlotte's been investing a lot of money trying to get that clay to come back alive. Years ago, not very many years ago, that was the clay was dead. It was no organic growth, none of the other pieces that make clay what really needs to be to hold moisture and to race well, to do the things without going right from one extreme to the other. And Charlotte's made a tremendous investment, not only in time, but money to make that track better. And we saw it. I was on the track the week before after we got all 11 inches of rain. And I could feel the clay was as alive as it's ever been. It's on its way. It's not there yet, but it is definitely, I look forward to more and more racing as we move into Charlotte Motor Speedway 26. And we already announced the dates, and we were looking at World Short Track. But the clay is alive, and it's because Charlotte Motor Speedway wants that to be the premier facility, and we need the clay to work too. But that was the best racing. You can't have every race that weekend when you're racing for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, every race to be that great race. But we had so many great races during that weekend that I'm very, very happy and very thankful for the investment that Charlotte Motor Speedway makes and that we put in with our team to try to make that work. And it's been, the success showed it. I think some of the fans that were dusted out in the past and then maybe the racing wasn't quite so great, I think they had a chance now. Okay, it's time to all in, come back and see Charlotte Motor Speedway, how it can.
I sense the same thing too. It really, truly is. All right, Wing Nation Sprint Cars. The overall state of 410 sprint car racing from your perspective, Brian. What's going on with 410 sprint cars?
Well, I'm pretty excited. Again, I think I expressed my optimism last year. I'm continuing to be building my plan on a very optimistic future for 410 sprint car racing. But you can't generalize it. So that, in my mind, you've got to look at every different perspective. Each stakeholder, the needs of each group of people, the needs of the car owners, the needs of the drivers, the needs of the race fans, the needs of the racetrack. So to generalize that sprint car racing is spectacular and everybody's making tons of money and everybody, fans and the grandstands are all full, you can't generalize it that way. So you've got to look at the different pieces of it. The big events, the pieces that we get to do every weekend, I'm really excited about the fans that are returning, the number of people that are watching, what we can do with our prize money for the teams and the drivers, the packages going up and down the road, how we can do a calendar and a schedule. I'm very excited about that. Some of the places that we've been investing in, like ASCS and other pieces, there's some years of struggle that we've been seeing in different things and how the market figures out how much should we be racing, how many places should we be going, how many national touring events do we need to have. And that's going to ebb and flow as we figure this out going forward. So I can't generalize it. I'm excited about the optimism. I'm excited about the universe in which we're dealing with and our fan group and our fan counts and the viewership and what we can do for the race teams and the racetracks. Very optimistic as we look forward in 26. We'll have a calendar out. I think we've already announced our late model calendar today. Our sprint car calendar will be out in the next week, give or take. We'll have something out next week. So we already have most of our calendar out. It's not that hard to kind of see where we're going to be elevating sprint car racing the best we can at World Racing Group.
Brian, this is the second year with a competing series with High Limit. Is there anything that you would say that you have adjusted or things that you've had to adapt that maybe you didn't see coming before this season?
No, it sharpens your pencil. It makes you think about things. You've got to, I'm pretty proud to create create demand over the last 20 some years of my career, trying to figure out how to grow sprint car racing and grow it to the point where the World of Outlaws really can't answer all the demand. There's a lot of demand for big sprint car races in different places, and I can't be on the East Coast and West Coast at the same time, and so somebody's feeling like they're getting left out. So it's definitely hard. But now at the second year and looking into the third, you got to be really careful about this balancing act of the needs of the fans, the needs of the racetracks, the needs of the owners and drivers, and the needs of the series, and getting all those things balanced in. It's absolutely a huge dynamic that we didn't have to deal with, and got to be, I can only control so much of what racing we're doing in a region with our series, and now I've got another one that I need to deal with and make sure that we don't dilute the fan base, we don't confuse them, and we don't we don't end up doing something where it gets out of balance. So I can do my part, and everybody else needs to do their part too, to figure out how we do this together. So it definitely has to, you have to modify everything on how you look at it. I'm still going to stick to our guns on what we're going to achieve, which is the greatest show on dirt, with as many people in the grandstands and as many people bringing awareness to the sport in a positive light as best we can.
Yeah, and it's easy really to focus in on the two national touring series, but then you throw in regional touring series, then you throw in places like Central Pennsylvania, places like Ohio, places like the Midwest that have robust local talent as well. And I think that's what is the level of concern? Is there a level of concern, or what degree, about oversaturation?
Well, it's not just, we're looking at a lot of different competing events. We've talked about the baseball and soccer taking away the kids and doing the different times and the full time, all that stuff that's happening. But at the same time, if you're in Pennsylvania, you could go live to a sprint car race every night of the week if you wanted to. Yeah. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, you could do that. But a lot of the people, now not only are you competing with those 3 racetracks or 4 racetracks, trying to figure that out, and a couple of Friday night shows, and it's like now any of those fans, they can watch a couple of national touring series on any given night and watch sprint car racing from their couch. So now you've created another competing piece. So it's not just that the people on the couch are watching the Pennsylvania show from home. That's not really what's happening. It's now the Pennsylvania fans can watch us when we're in the Dakotas or at Knoxville or at Eldora. Now instead of going to the racetrack, maybe they're staying at home and doing that. So I'm trying to create an environment where they want to go to the track and feel it. Nothing matches at track experience, but they can have it on their phone and they can watch the rest of those races from in the grandstands. I got to make sure that that's compelling for the race fan too. So it's a lot of things we're competing with, and it's not getting any easier. So that's something we all have to deal with. That's
interesting. Rivalries make sports, and the PA Posse versus the Outlaws goes way back, as long as I can remember. And now you have the Outlaws High Limit, and there's certainly some positives from it. Yeah, I'm sure it's tricky, but I thought one thing was really neat on Thursday night of the World Finals, when Rico won, he was so respectful of David, and vice versa. David was really respectful of Rico. Is that that rivalry something that you actually see as it's a positive for the World of Outlaws?
Yeah, it's I want people the personal connection to the racers is a huge component of our piece. It's we've talked about that in years past, about how to create the creation of that connectivity, the availability of our drivers. Everybody that signs in at our event is a World of Outlaws driver. I know they may go do something else on another weekend, but they're a World of Outlaws driver. We want those personalities to become personalities for the people. I want both, whether you like them or not, enjoy what they're doing at the track, and then pick yours and let's have fun with it. I don't want it to become something destructive. There's different versions of comparison kills all joy, and but there's also a piece of that we are grown to pick somebody. And even when we went to the racetrack, and I was sitting at the track, which car are you taking this race?
Yep.
So that's going to happen. And, it's like, so, it's just a natural part of what we do. We're racing. And, from that perspective, I just want it to be done in a positive way that helps growth. We don't need to be driving race fans away, creating this animosity that's not natural or it's got to be in the spirit of all of us enjoying racing.
Yeah.
Yep. I agree with that. Sunday night, you were able to crown David Greville a 2-time champion, and we had David on earlier this week. We have the show with David on, and he is just remarkable when we're starting to compare him with Steve Kinzer, with Sammy Swindell, with Donny Schatz. He's 2 wins from Danny Lasowski on this. Yeah. Isn't it pretty amazing, this 33-year-old racer, what Todd, what Cody Jacobs, what that team has grown into? You're ultimately a sprint car fan. You're ultimately a race fan. You got to marvel at what that team has built.
Yeah, no, when you look all-time wins list, David's climbed that list fast. And he may not have when the consistency of the championships earlier in his career, but the win list has been very strong. So David climbing, you look at even Logan and Sheldon and Carson, those guys are climbing up the win list fast too. So from a win list perspective, those guys have achieved a lot, and it's because of the energy that those teams have created. You look at those teams and they've been pretty stable. Sheldon's going to have his hands full with a new team. I'm excited for them and what they've been able to do with the 8 years with Marshall and with Stenhouse. So Sheldon's going to have to. The energy of the team is such an important factor of it, and the confidence. I listened to David talk at his time on the stage, and it's like his confidence in his race car and his team allows him to go out there and not worry about making that move, and that is something that you can't get. That you can't pay a race car driver to do that. He's got to that in the car, and that's what he feels when he gets in the car that Cody and his team built, that Todd put together through the whole team, and that chemistry is very important. And I think you're going to see a lot of that grow. Phil, same thing with Phil and Carson, and with with Logan and his team. It's just that chemistry which creates wins, and that is exciting to watch. When I think about starting my career and watching Steve's dominance and watching Donnie's dominance, and then Brad's championships and David's, in a tougher environment probably than Steve saw most of the time.
Sure.
I mean, in my mind, the parity of the top 10 cars is so good that, it's amazing what David and the guys have been pulling off in the last few years.
It sure is. Another driver that had probably a career year is Buddy Kofoid. With Roth Motorsports. What does that relationship with Roth Motorsports mean? They have supported the World of Outlaws for as long as I can remember. And then to see someone like Buddy have that much success in that car, just talk about what that piece they are of the World of Outlaws.
Yeah, no, I would save Buddy from that previous comment, because he hasn't had as many years with that crew, but they have the energy going. And from a Roth, I still remember meeting Dennis and Teresa for the first time. I was in Knoxville, and those guys just pour their heart out into sprint car racing. So to see them have that sort of success, not only through all of the drivers that they've had, but with such a great young talent and so much energy, and Buddy and his family, and to see all that come together, and now knowing that at the twilight of Dennis and Teresa, we all know we have less of them than we've had.
Sure.
It makes me real excited that they can see that car so much up front, and so much, and the energy of that team, and Todd Ventura and the guys, and what we can do with the Dennis Roth Classic, and they are so intertwined in the history and the legacy of the World of Outlaws, and what we've done, that makes me really happy that that same energy is shown on the racetrack every night, and to see that makes me very proud. And Dennis was recognized with the Ted Johnson Award this year, and well deserved, and that it's just it humbles me and honors me just to be able to acknowledge his contribution to the things that we care about so much.
Yeah.
Is absolutely amazing. So 410 Sprint Car Racing, I think we've kind of got our arms around that a little bit here. You guys found yourself last year with the American Sprint Car Series and all of its regional tours. Last year was, you get up to speed with it. Here we are a year or two down the road. How is that going? You're getting ready to crown a champion. You're going to Fuzzy's fall finale this week at Creek County. But how are things in ASCS land now?
Good. We're going to go celebrate another year. That'll be, there's so many dynamics to sprint car racing, and a lot of what we're feeling on the national touring level was a demand for sprint car racing locally or regionally, and ASCS filled that demand very well for many, many years. And I think in the last few years, the market kind of got confused about we needed to do at these local and regional racetracks to put on a great show, but to put on an affordable show that makes sense from the racer's perspective, makes sense from the racetrack's perspective, and that the fans can go and see. So we're going to continue to modify that, really going back to what it was, it was designed to be, which is a very, very entertaining sprint car show that the people don't have to travel all the way, all the way across the country to see it, with the regions and the different pieces, can bring enough star power to sell some tickets, but create an affordable package, not only from a racing perspective, but from a fan perspective and a track perspective. So it's still going to continue to modify it, but I think we're going to answer some of the demand that people thought they needed to have a $100,000 sprint car show for, when really we can do it with a $20,000 sprint car show or $25,000 sprint car show, and make that work way better, the math work way better for a lot more people. So I'm pleased with that. We'll continue to grow. We'll do that. Again, it's meeting the needs of the racer, meeting the needs of the racetrack, and then ultimately, what do the fans want to see, and how many times do they want to see it in their area?
Going one step further, what is the current state of 360 racing? We focus so much on the 410 stuff, and I'm here in Charlotte, North Carolina. I don't get out and see much, but what is the state of 360 racing in general?
If I had to sum it up in one word, I'd say expensive.
Yeah.
It's expensive.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure that out. You can't change a rule book and save anybody money, but you're trying to figure out, okay, the cost of a 360 is damn near the cost of a 410. So I got to figure out how to make that better. But figure out a way to kind of get it back kind of right-sized into what it needs to be. And changing the rule book doesn't help us a whole lot. So I got to figure out how do you box it back in? How do you make it where those become more longevity or a different look at it? But the state of 360 racing is still in flux. I'd say it's in flux, trying to figure out where its home is. So it won't be the World of Outlaws. It never was designed to be.
Yeah.
But it is supposed to be spectacular. Sprint car racing is spectacular. I'm trying to put it on the stage, set the stage for that in the proper context, so that everybody is entertained, and it's done in a way that it meets the needs of the people that are coming, the racetrack, the fans, and the drivers and owners. And that's hard. That's a hard balance. It kind of got out of whack for a little bit. So I gotta keep working on that. I've got a great team to do that, and they're passionate about sprint cars, and they're passionate about race fans, entertaining people, and we'll figure that out. It's going to just take a few more years at this.
As we transition to looking forward here, I kind of want to keep this little ASCS piece of it before we get into bigger picture stuff. They're going to kick things off at Volusia down there. How important is it to have them, and I know it's January, but Florida in February, how important is it to have those guys get part of Speed Week down there in Daytona?
Yeah, no, it is important. We can't afford to have a $100,000 show that weekend before.
Sure.
So, but I want them to see the stage. I want to train them. I want to give them the opportunity, and actually give our 410 guys opportunity to run with 360s. So really is sort of a get to know the racetrack, us get to know the track, and be prepared, kind of preparing against the bigger the sprint cars, the World of Outlaws that are coming later. But I want them to feel like they're part of something bigger, right? So you can't bring them to World Finals. You can't really. We tried the 360s at World Short Track. They take up an inordinate amount of time to get that sprint cars into 500 stock car program. So, but you try. I want to expose them to the largest stage possible. And last year that 360 show was in connection with the Rolex. So we got some new people out to come see sprint cars. This year it actually lines up with a different program. So we're going to be running late models, I think, with the Rolex. If my confusion of seeing 10 calendars is not confusing me, but the goal is to get them part of World Racing Group. And there's some strong 360 programs in Florida. Pete's done a great job running the USCS through here. We got the ESS. How do we deal with the Patriots? How do we deal with all those other pieces that are trying to grow sprint car racing? And then how do you help them along the way and help all of 360 racing? So the Top Guns are down there. They raced with us. They raced last weekend, and at a track we're going to go with the World of Outlaws late models. So just trying to figure this out. And I think that the sprint cars are definitely additive to that week, and they should be a part of it. And I think we'll have a package where, as the fans get used to coming that many weeks in a row at Volusia, then that event will continue to grow.
Yeah, interesting. You mentioned the World of Outlaws sprint car schedule will come out soon. We all know, we've seen bits and pieces of it. We know where you're going. Is there anything new or different that you're excited about for next year?
We've got some interesting things. We have so many people in line for what's kind of normal course standard, staying our ground, doing this stuff. But I think Sheldon's weekend at the end of the year, we haven't announced yet. It's going to be really cool in Ohio. That's coming. We got the racetracks lined up. They're pushing on us to do 4 days. They really only want to do 3 days. Trying to figure out how much is too much racing. But that's going to be a really event in Ohio, kind of at the end of the season. And we're still working on a couple of places we haven't been to in a long time in California, which could be really exciting for us. Can't really announce that yet, but I'm pretty close on something that's going to be fun. We're getting some demand to go back in the Northwest. That's probably not this year, but probably in another year we can get doing something up there. But bread and butter, when you're doing things, I'm so happy with what we're doing. You really don't looking for these massive shifts in direction. We're looking for making what we are doing better and making sure that we're doing it as efficiently we can with traveling these teams up and down, all of the trucks and trailers for us, making sense for the race fans, making sense with Mother Nature and the almanac and where the weather works. So they're all challenges, but we got to be careful in the places. California's tough to run right now. I mean, I know that there's some investment going back into there trying to help the sprint car racing. I hope that works so that we can all be better in California, and just trying to balance out the rest, not doing this too much.
Yeah, Sheldon, I ran into Sheldon up at Millbridge, and boy, he was all wound up about his promotion next year, and we'll just kind of leave it at that. But his energy on it was just so exciting. It really, truly was. You talk about some of the tried and true. You've added another Knoxville-Huset's weekend on Memorial Day weekend, and just how important is it to keep bolstering up these tried and true, the Williams Groves, the Knoxvilles, the Volusias, the Huset's of the world? How important is it to find that right sizing of those tracks and the number of times we go there?
Right. No, that's again part of the balancing act, trying to meet the needs of the fans and the racers and the racetracks. I'm optimistic, very optimistic about what we're doing out in Memorial Day is tough. July 4th is tough. The holidays, people have their kind of set on what they're doing. So I'm optimistic about how that's going to play out. We've invested it. We used to come to Charlotte on Memorial Day. We'd get up into Ohio for Memorial Day, Indiana for Memorial Day. It's kind of like, where do we put it where we can have the balance of all the racers and the teams and the fans and the tracks all doing something that means something on Memorial Day. So I'm excited about that. Both tracks would already have been running. They would have already had their weekly stuff set up. Now we can bring in some of the guys, get some more laps at both of those racetracks. We're going to have really big money later on in the summer, and then hopefully we'll add the race fans that are coming out and camping and having a good time on Memorial Day, and create a place just to celebrate racing on a place where we're celebrating all of the people that have served the country. So
that's awesome. As far as teams for 2026, I feel like silly season happened about June this year or July, August. So there's been a lot of driver swapping, but it's neat to see the 1As come back to the World of Outlaws. Are you feeling comfortable with the teams and the amount next year?
Yeah, no, I'm very pleased. Everybody was very positive. You attended the banquet. They're all most of them all stated their intentions and the importance of the legacy and the history of what the World of Outlaws represents, and getting their place in the history books. There's a handful of guys that are dang near the top 10 in all-time wins. I hope that they can continue to do that. I'm just going to set the stage. I'm really excited. I think we've got a great package from the tow money and the point funds and the different pieces. The package is, I want it to be the best. I want it to the whole package, whether it be the royalties for the iRacing game or the social ambassador stuff or merchandise sales or tow money, all those pieces. Again, it's what are the needs of the teams that are traveling with us and how do we meet those the best? And I'm very excited about what that looks like for 26.
The big question when it comes to silly season, I'm just gonna ask you, what's Donny Schatz doing? No.
No.
Well, I mean, I understand if you spill the beans on Donny Schatz, you've got some explaining to do to him and to the rest of everybody up there. But just the year that he went through and the energy he had this weekend was absolutely it was inspiring.
Yeah, there were so many opportunities this year that Donny could have just said, I don't need to do this.
Yeah.
And he absolutely took the opposite path every single time he had a chance. So for me, I've spent the better part of my career trying to make this grow. If you don't understand how much that man enjoys what he's doing and the people he's around and the legacy that he's creating for his family and what he did for TSR and what he's done for all of sprint car racing, then you really need to sit down with Donny Schatz and talk to him, because he has laid his heart out this year dealing with adversity. And and it was the same thing for TSR. They went through a lot of shit too. So, but for Donny to be standing there at the banquet, energized about, I'm not giving this shit up. I mean his words, not mine. I'm not done. I'm not done. That's exactly what you want to hear from a 10-time champion who's won 300 and something races. I'm not done.
He wasn't done Friday night, that's for sure. I thought at one moment on Friday night, I'm like, my God, we're going to see.
So I couldn't possibly tell you what Donny is to do. But I can tell you that whatever it is going to be pretty spectacular.
That is
So,
awesome.
And it's going to be fun to watch. And he's going to give these boys hell.
I spent some time with some of his family, and they would not say anything either, but they shared the same energy level. It's going to be fun to watch. It really, truly is.
Yeah. Well, one thing when we talked to Donny this weekend, you said one thing that comes to mind when you think of Donny is loyalty, and his loyalty to the World of Outlaws is so strong. I love it. It's really neat. I want to switch directions a little bit. Talk DirtVision. The coverage of DirtVision gets better and better every single year. What's in the works for that, and how are your streaming numbers this year? Obviously, we know we don't want them, but do you see a positive increase every season?
Growth again. So I need everybody to bring a fan into the racetrack and show them DirtVision and show them the registration. You don't even have to pay to watch this stuff. Watch all of it during the off season. Get excited about that. But DirtVision is where the new breakthroughs are going to come through for us. I mean, really, that's the new and exciting piece. People saw us dabble in the in-car cameras, the live in-car camera piece. That technology. Proprietary. We've been building that. The ability, as people saw a little bit as we were testing the choose a camera at Knoxville, you could watch the camera angle that you wanted to watch. You could choose your audio that you want to watch. The multi-view, our partner is the one who laid out the Live Golf platform. So that is where the fans are going to have a real opportunity to watch what we're doing. So the multi-view, pick your camera angle. Those are the sorts of things that you'll be seeing in 2026. So we've already had them out rolling. We've been testing them. We've got a lot of things on that front to make the engagement better in order to drive people to want to come to the racetrack. So I believe that we'll have some interactive pieces that are on top of the platform where you can pick your, who's going to win this show, some chat stuff, who's going to win the heat race, kind of like what we did when we were kids. They're talking about what car you got. I want the green one, but you can do that interacting with DirtVision. That is my goal, is to have that be where the breakthroughs, because that's the stuff that's available to everybody.
Yeah. That's a neat piece too, because for me, if I'm in the grandstands, I'm gonna log in and I'm gonna stream, because I can see this, but I want to see someone's in car. So that's a whole nother avenue.
Right.
Here's the thing. I am so opposite of all of that. I mean, I want to sit in the stands and not be bothered. And on a Sunday afternoon, I want to listen to MRN radio call a race. But I understand that I'm old.
I think you're aging yourself.
I am aging myself, because to me, all you're talking about with the interactive, the various things, the chats going on, it seems to me like that's also young race fans going to be able to engage with young race fans and replenishing the great World of Outlaw fans we've had for years and years that are aging now, and to be able to bring in new people as well.
No, our demographic is skewing younger very rapidly. So that part, and I think it's all about having an availability in the phone and having them interact and having the drivers. The fan engagement doesn't happen just at the racetrack. We're engaging race fans time, and you see the guys. David's really good at it. You figure out how do you converse with your race fans? How do you bring it to them? How do you remind them that, hey, this is pretty cool? And it's not in the long form pieces. It's even 30-40 seconds of just engagement via Facebook or Twitter or TikTok or Insta, whatever you decide to do it. I want to be there for the race fans, because they need some version of looking at the phone to get away from something else they're doing. I don't know that, but they want to engage. So our fan demographic is skewing younger quickly. So
nice.
I don't want you to stop
awesome.
getting older, but we celebrate the fact that we all can get older. So especially as I get up as I get into the upper 50s myself, it's like, so you need to, but I've got to, the young fan group, the young people in our organization, not only at World Racing Group, but with the families, you see these kids, you see all the young families at the banquet, the people getting married and doing the things, and David having that's exciting to me to see how this generational piece continues.
Yeah, that's neat. Yeah, you can sit over in the grandstands or just listen to your audio, and we'll all be tuned in. Us engineering nerds, I'm not even that young anymore, but I still love all the news. To watch different angles, to me is fascinating.
I am inspired. I understand that I am way out there in the old dog minority on that.
Yeah.
So it's exciting to hear that. It really truly is, because we do need to replace fans at the racetrack.
Yeah, I love that it's trending to the younger generation. So I see you brought a bunch of stats over there, which I always love. Anything interesting or exciting to share with the stats you have?
The stats are a fun part of what I do. I do stats all the time, whether it be financial stats or viewership stats and all the rest. But the sprint car stats, there's so many people that are keeping track of the sprint car stats. It's like everybody knows it now. Where you go to a site, go to our site, go to several other sites. And you can see that all now, and everybody's grading everybody, and we drop 50 and they drop 20 in different pieces. There's so many good things to talk about about sprint car racing, then the stats are good. Lots of money, lots of domination, lots of young and up and comers, and a lot. It's all great. I think we had 16 different winners. To me, that's an important factor for the sprint cars. So. We had some close competitions. We had 385 cars compete with us. We only completed 68 races this year. It was kind of weird. We didn't rain out a huge, but we rained out enough to kind of feel it a little bit. But we had 38 racetracks, 2 venues, 16 different winners, 2 new winners, Chase Dietz and Ryan Timms, which are spectacular wins in both of those arenas. So those are arenas that are difficult to do, and those 2 boys put in something that's first time wins there. It's like, so that's good. It's just amazing. You can cut it up however you want to, but we had 162 different drivers win 410 events this year.
Wow.
162 different drivers win 410 sprint car events this year. That's a big deal.
That's a big number.
That's 162 guys won races, features, and we had the number of races. I got at the bottom here. Hold on, at the bottom, the total number of races. 494 features, 410 sprint car racing. So we got to find the balance and what that means in the regional pieces. But to me, that means that life's pretty good. We just got to figure out how to bring awareness to the sport, and how do we continue to make it make sense so that we meet the needs of the people around us. So. So the rest of the stuff, and we had. I'm sorry, I cut you off, but there's do I want people to start 8th and finish? Do I want people to start 20th and finish up front? Yeah, but I can't manufacture it. I'm surely not going to change how we, I'm not going to manufacture a competition. And the top 10 or 12 guys on the tour are so good, you'd better start up front. I mean, you better start in the top. In the top, that doesn't mean that you can't start 20th and finish second. That happened at Charlotte. You can't, you can run through the field. You can have these massive runs, but the top. Every car you pass gets harder and harder and harder. And when you're only doing this 25, 30, 40 laps, you run out of time real fast. But the fans want to see it. I don't want to know who's going to win until the checker flag flies.
Got to roll, no doubt about it. Beyond sprint cars, late models, modifieds, midgets, dirt car with all of the. I looked at the dirt car, Erin. I looked at the dirt car thing, and this says all the schedules: 204 tracks, 36 series, and 26 different divisions. My gosh, we talk sprint cars, maybe a little late models, maybe a little modifieds, but you guys got a lot going on over there across the street.
That makes me proud. That is our investment in dirt racing. That's what people don't understand. That I hope more and more people understand. That is World Racing Group's investment in dirt racing. If you like dirt racing, please take a look and figure out a way. This is the full investment in the whole ecosystem, fully integrated from the streaming company all the way down through. We can do what this industry needs, and that's what my path has been set on for a long time. I get a lot of diversity. People want to be on DirtVision. People want us to broadcast pavement shows. We do a little bit of dabbling in pavement shows. We try to see if we can move the needle, if we can make an impact. But my job is to make an impact. That's why we have support classes. I know we get a lot of grief about support classes at our sprint car show, but what I want for that racetrack who's partnering with us, who's sanctioned probably with 204 of those tracks sanctioned by World Racing Group, to showcase their local crowd, whether it be an invitational race or 20 guys, to show them off in front of the largest crowd they're going to have all year, and maybe those guys come back next week for that racetrack. And that is our business model. And we want it to not interfere with our sprint car racing. We want it to make the racetrack better. Sometimes we use them to help us with the track. Sometimes it feels like they're crashing too much. But I want to, I feel all of those emotions with all of our other race fans. But I want the people that are coming to the just show part of something bigger, to make those dirt car guys feel like there's part of something bigger, and then maybe, just maybe, we'll make us a modified fan or a midget fan that are, and share that love with all of dirt racing. That's why we have support classes, where it makes sense to have support classes.
That is so cool. We talked about World Finals. You guys did something different this year in adding the Extreme Outlaw Midget Championship at Millbridge. Tuesday night was bonkers. I have never, and I've been going to Millbridge for a long time, I've never in my life seen anything like that. There was people everywhere. There was excitement. There was energy. What was the takeaway on putting that championship right here, part of World Finals week?
Well, you just answered it. You don't have to answer that question.
That's true. That's true.
Did you feel like you're part of something bigger? Was it exciting,
gosh,
entertaining, all the energy, the different crowd? You have some NASCAR guys there. You have some World of Outlaw guys there. You have late model guys there. You have some modified. That's what we're trying to do. Create that kind of an energy wherever we can, and to do it at a place like Millbridge, which has that's such a great community here just down the street from us. And then to showcase them every week, show these kids off, document the legacy of some of these kids that are going to be really good in race cars for decades to come. At the same time, create that kind of energy with this. We set the stage for it. That makes me feel good. I mean, that makes everybody should feel good about racing and the community and how much we entertain people. And in my mind, that was a great closure to this event this weekend. I mean, the midget racing that we do, it's a great way to close the year for those guys and to show them they're part of something bigger. The mini sprint, they're part of something bigger.
That's right. Yeah, we had Jacob Denny on our stage show. We had your champion on our stage show. You referenced this talking about the modifieds. Years ago at PRI, I had Jack Lehner on the stage. And I asked him, how in the wide world of sports do you make progress as a young driver against Matt Shepard, Stuart Friesen, yada, 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 Brett Hearn at the time, that sort of thing. What in the world's going on with these young guys named Alex? They're not waiting for Matt Shepard and Stu to get back and that sort of thing. The young talent in the big block modified deal has just blown me away as I've gotten a little bit reacclimated to it. Man, you have got something special going on there.
Yeah, no, that is really, really exciting to see that. And it's kind of, this goes back to 2 decades ago. I can still see it. I'm in the log cabin in the infield of Syracuse, and we're telling everybody we're going to put crate motors in modifieds, and I thought I wasn't going to make it out of the building alive. So it's like we're building crate. We're going to put crates, and we're going to create a sportsman class, and we're going to have. And I thought I really didn't know if I was going to make it out of the infield because of the animosity about creating crates. So I hope that this, the sportsman 358s, the big blocks, this 2 decades of preparation for the future of racing, and it starts with how do you get the in. So you just mentioned 2 great examples, Millbridge and how these guys can come out to the racetrack and play on a weekly basis at the level they want to, whether it be box stock or the open carts or whatever, or wing or no wing, different pieces. But that happens over time. It's not going to happen overnight. And to see these young kids who come from, I can remember them winning races in sportsman classes and moving through the 358s. But that progression takes time. It takes investment, not only from the sanctioning body and the racetracks, but the teams and the families. And these are generational drivers that are still choosing to spend their time and energy dirt racing. And we're just blessed to get to see it. The changing of the guard is, it's been, you go from the Brett Hearns and the Tim Fullers and the Deckers and there's lots of, you have to go before that, you Pouches and you McCready's, and so this progression is happening in front of us, and we get to experience it.
So exciting.
Yeah, it really is. You think young talent too, even cars. You mentioned Ryan Timms, and Ashton Torgerson is 19 years old. We're seeing that in sprint cars too.
Yeah, no, it's so fun to watch it. You see the generational drivers, you see all the young and up and comers. You're just creating that opportunity, setting the stage, and making them feel like they're part of something bigger.
Final question. The stage is yours. What have we missed? What do we need? What do we need? You're getting to talk to Wing Nation, to all of our fans. What's your final thoughts? Final word to all the sprint car fans.
Anybody who sees this, I want you to bring a friend to the racetrack. I've said this for years. Bring a friend to the racetrack. We have something really cool going on. I introduced in the last 6 weeks. I've had more fans that have said they're at the track for the first time, and they are having a ball. Mm-hmm. Bring them in. If they don't understand, find somebody. If you've never been to a dirt race, please come out and see us. I want to show you guys how much fun we can have, how open our community is to people, and how like-minded we all are, and how we want to have a good time. And I need people to bring people into the racing. I don't need I don't want to be a flash in the pan. I want to be here 20 years from now figuring out how to make this better again with a whole nother generation of drivers. And for that, I need the whole community to grow. So raising awareness, bring people out, share the positive parts of our sport. We don't have to air out our dirty laundry. You come into the office, or give me a phone call. But let's talk about it. These are real things. And in my mind, the positivity is actually gaining a lot of momentum. And from my perspective, that gratitude and all those other pieces refuels me to make it better.
Brian Carter, CEO of the World Racing Group. Brian, we always appreciate the time. Thanks for wrapping up the season with us again here.
Yeah, thank you.
There we go. Always a pleasure. Stay with us. We got more Wing Nation. We're going to wrap it up here in just a moment.
3, 2, 1. Start your engine.
The NASCAR channel is streaming now, exclusively on Tubi. Tell them we got it.
Go deeper into NASCAR with 24/7 news, documentaries, and explore the vault of timeless NASCAR stories and unforgettable races. From crushing defeats to the thrill of victory.
Go, baby!
The NASCAR Channel. Always on, always free. Only on Tubi.
Welcome back to Wing Nation. Erin, Evernham, and Steve Post. We've assumed our normal spots here, and always fun to catch up with Brian and kind of get his lay of the land, if you will, about sprint car racing.
Yeah, I always enjoy catching up with him. It's just nice to see the state of the sport from one of the owners of from the top series. One of the top series. But just, it's interesting. He always came in with all those stats, and it's like we used to focus on those. But like he said, things are changing so much, and obviously you can find anything on the internet now. Yeah. So it became nice. It was just a general conversation about the state of World of Outlaws and, World Racing Group.
Mm-hmm. That is going to do it. As has traditionally been the case, that is the final show of Wing Nation for this year. I've got a bunch of people that want to thank right here at Motor Racing Network. Chris Schwartz, Ryan Horn, and Kreger, of course, our producer, all of the series, all the drivers, all the teams. When we call or we need anything, everyone jumps to attention and comes and joins us. We are grateful for DirtVision and Flow Racing. The video, the B-roll as it's called, is so important to the show that we do, the one that streams video-wise. We do appreciate that. And I sat and had the banquet with Paul Arch. Paul Arch, Paul Arch is the official photographer of Craig Moore. Paul sends him pictures all the time. He is a great guy and had a chance. So Paul, thank you. We are grateful for the pictures as well. Wing Nation will be back in early February. We've got some cool stuff we're going to do next year. Also do want to mention this. Wing Nation, we will be part of Racing Electronics at the PRI show up in Indianapolis. So follow our social channels around PRI, and you will see all of the interviews we do with sprint car drivers as well as every other driver known to mankind. But Wing Nation is going to be part of the PRI show. And if you're at PRI, stop in and say hi at the Racing Electronics booth. So that is going to do it. Erin, what a great season. What a fun year of sprint car racing.
Crazy that it's already coming to an end. The seasons go by faster and faster every year.
So it certainly does. So we appreciate everyone here. Ashley Stremme, our other co-host. We're grateful for Ashley. She's Erin Evernham. I'm Steve Post. Thanks as always for joining us this time here on Wing Nation on the Motor Racing Network.